Imagine a world without plates, pots, or vases. A world where storing water or cooking was a daily challenge. Now, imagine the revolution that transformed everything, the invention of pottery. How did this discovery change the lives of our earliest ancestors and give birth to one of the oldest art forms in history? Join us on this journey. During the Neolithic period, about 10,000 years ago, humanity experienced one of the greatest revolutions in history, the transition from hunter-gatherers to agricultural societies. With this change came the need to store grains, water, and food. It was in this context that pottery was born, combining functionality and beauty in ways that would shape human civilization forever. Think about it. Before pottery, how did people cook their food? How did they store water for dry seasons? The creation of fired clay containers solved problems that had challenged humans since the dawn of time. This wasn't just a new technology. It was a complete transformation of daily life. But pottery wasn't merely practical. In the hands of ancient artisans, clay became a canvas for expression. Intricate patterns, symbolic designs, and unique shapes tell us stories about the people who made them, their beliefs, their values, and their understanding of the world around them. How exactly was this pottery made? What different styles emerged across ancient communities, and what can these clay vessels reveal about the cultures of the time? We're about to explore all these questions and more as we dive into the fascinating world of Neolithic pottery. If you love history and want to unravel the mysteries of the great ancient civilizations, like this video, subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and don't miss a single episode. Your journey through human history is just beginning. First, let me take you on a fascinating journey to discover how pottery was made in Neolithic times. Picture yourself thousands of years ago, watching as the first artisans worked with clay in ways that would revolutionize human history. In those ancient times, craftsmen and women would start with raw clay, carefully selecting and preparing it by removing impurities and mixing it with water until it reached the perfect consistency. The process was truly an art form, passed down through generations. These early potters developed two main techniques that would become fundamental to ceramic making. The first was hand modeling, where they would simply use their hands to shape the clay into the desired form. The second was the coil method, where they would roll the clay into long snake-like strips and stack them in circles, gradually building up the walls of their vessels. Once the basic shape was formed, they would smooth the surface using simple tools made from wood, bone, or stone. But here's where it gets really interesting. They didn't stop at just making functional pieces. These ancient artists would often decorate their creations with intricate geometric patterns, using tools to carve lines, circles, and zigzags into the soft clay. These weren't just random decorations. They often held deep meaning, telling stories of their beliefs, marking social status, or representing their connection to the natural world. Here's something truly amazing. Archaeologists have discovered perfectly preserved Neolithic pottery pieces that are over 8,000 years old. These ancient vessels have survived millennia, standing as a testament to the incredible skill of these early craftsmen. When archaeologists uncover these pieces at dig sites, it's like finding a time capsule that reveals fascinating details about daily life in Neolithic times. The final and most crucial step was firing the pottery. Our ancestors would carefully place their clay vessels in open fires or rudimentary kilns, where temperatures could reach over 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. This firing process would transform the soft clay into durable ceramic, creating vessels that could hold water, store grain, and even be used for cooking. Think about it. Every time you use a ceramic bowl or cup today, you're participating in a tradition that began thousands of years ago. When our clever ancestors first discovered they could transform simple clay into something both beautiful and useful. Each region across the ancient world developed its own unique pottery style, creating a fascinating mosaic of human creativity and cultural expression. Let me take you on a journey through these remarkable traditions. In the Middle East, pottery was truly a feast for the eyes. Artisans created pieces adorned with intricate patterns that tell stories of their daily lives and beliefs. The vibrant colors they achieved, using natural pigments from their surroundings, are still captivating to this day. Imagine rich terracottas, deep browns, and striking blacks, all woven together in mesmerizing geometric designs. Moving to Europe, we find a different approach altogether. Here the focus was primarily on functionality, with simpler yet elegant forms. The European potters mastered the art of creating sturdy vessels perfect for storing grain and water. What's particularly interesting is how they adapted their techniques to work with the local clays available in different regions. But perhaps one of the most remarkable stories comes from China. Chinese artisans were true innovators in the pottery world. They were among the first to master the potter's wheel, a revolutionary invention that allowed them to create perfectly symmetrical vessels with astounding precision. Just imagine the excitement when someone first discovered that spinning clay could lead to such perfect shapes. What truly fascinates me is how these different styles weren't just about making containers. They were expressions of identity, status, and belief systems. A pot from ancient China looked vastly different from one made in Europe, not just because of different techniques, but because it carried the unique fingerprint of its culture. Here's an interesting detail many don't know. These different pottery styles actually helped archaeologists map ancient trade routes. When they find a Middle Eastern-style pot in Europe, for example, it tells us these ancient communities were connected through trade networks thousands of years ago. These regional differences in pottery styles are like a time capsule, showing us how our ancestors lived, what they valued, and how they expressed themselves through art. Each piece of pottery tells its own unique story, carrying whispers from the past into our present day. Let me share with you one of the most fascinating aspects of Neolithic pottery: its deep cultural significance that went far beyond its practical uses. You see, pottery wasn't just about storing food or carrying water. These carefully crafted pieces held profound spiritual and social meaning. Imagine a community gathering for a funeral ritual. The specially made vessels they used weren't mere containers, but sacred objects believed to help guide the deceased to the afterlife. In fact, archaeologists have discovered entire tombs filled with elaborately decorated pottery, each piece telling its own story about the person's status and beliefs. The symbols and patterns etched into these ancient vessels were like books written in clay. Every spiral, every line, every geometric shape carried meaning. Some told stories of great hunts or harvests, while others represented the movements of the sun and stars. These weren't random decorations. They were a sophisticated language that passed down knowledge from one generation to the next. Here's something remarkable. In many ancient communities, the way a pot was decorated could instantly tell you which family or clan it belonged to. It was like having a family crest or signature written in clay. Some designs were so sacred that only certain members of the community were allowed to create them. But perhaps the most incredible thing about these pottery pieces is how they connected the physical world with the spiritual realm. When people made offerings to their gods, they often used special ceremonial vessels. These weren't everyday containers. They were carefully crafted bridges between earth and heaven, designed to please both gods and mortals. And speaking of incredible, did you know that some of these Neolithic pottery pieces have survived for thousands of years? That's right, the very same pot that someone shaped with their hands over 5,000 years ago can still be seen in museums today. It's mind-blowing to think about, isn't it? If you're enjoying learning about these amazing artifacts, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to The Dawn of Humankind for more fascinating stories about our ancestors. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which aspect of ancient pottery cultures do you find most intriguing? Is it the ritual vessels, the family symbols, or perhaps the sacred patterns? Share your thoughts below. The legacy of Neolithic pottery extends far beyond the ancient world, creating ripples that we can still feel today. Let me tell you how this remarkable innovation shaped human civilization in ways you might never have imagined. Think of Neolithic pottery as the spark that ignited a technological revolution. When our ancestors discovered they could transform soft clay into hard, durable vessels through fire, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities. This wasn't just about making pots. It was humanity's first step into understanding how we could transform materials to serve our needs. Here's something fascinating. The techniques developed for pottery actually laid the groundwork for early metallurgy. The high-temperature firing methods used to harden clay gave our ancestors insights that would later help them work with metals. In a way, those first pottery kilns were the great-grandparents of modern industrial furnaces. The pottery trade also revolutionized ancient economies. Imagine merchants traveling across vast distances, carrying distinctive pottery pieces that became prized possessions in far-off lands. These trade networks didn't just move pottery, they carried ideas, technologies, and cultural practices across continents. A decorative technique developed in one village could spread thousands of miles, creating connections between communities that had never met. But perhaps the most incredible legacy of Neolithic pottery is how it serves as a time machine for modern archaeologists. Every pot tells a story, from the fingerprints left in the clay by ancient artisans to the residues of foods stored inside. These artifacts give us invaluable insights into how our ancestors lived, what they ate, and how they viewed their world. You might be surprised to learn that many modern pottery techniques aren't so different from those used thousands of years ago. The basic principle of working with clay, shaping it and firing it, remains largely unchanged. When you see a potter working at their wheel today, you're watching a tradition that stretches back over 10,000 years. This ancient craft also gave birth to countless other innovations. The need to create better pottery led to the development of new tools, the discovery of glazes, and even advancements in mathematics as artisans worked to create more complex designs and shapes. In many ways, Neolithic pottery represents one of humanity's first great steps toward the complex, technological world we live in today. It shows us that even the simplest innovations can have profound and lasting impacts on human civilization. As we've seen throughout this journey, Neolithic pottery was far more than just a clever way to store food and water. It represented a pivotal moment in human history, where necessity and creativity merged to create something truly extraordinary. These ancient artisans weren't just making containers, they were crafting the foundations of human civilization itself. Think about it. Every pot, every vessel, every decorated piece tells us a story about our ancestors. They show us how early societies solved their daily challenges, how they expressed their deepest beliefs, and how they saw themselves and their place in the world. These weren't just practical objects. They were mirrors, reflecting the very essence of human culture and creativity. The next time you pick up a ceramic mug for your morning coffee, take a moment to consider its ancient legacy. That simple object in your hand carries the echo of thousands of years of human innovation and artistic expression. Isn't it amazing how something as simple as shaped clay could tell us so much about who we were and who we've become? You know what's truly remarkable? The basic techniques developed by these ancient potters are still being used today. When you see a modern potter at their wheel, you're witnessing a tradition that stretches back over 10,000 years. It's a living connection to our distant ancestors, a bridge across time, that connects us to our shared human story. If this journey through the fascinating world of Neolithic pottery has captured your imagination, we'd love to have you join us for more adventures into humanity's past. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed learning about these ancient craftspeople and their remarkable legacy. Share this video with friends who love history as much as you do, and don't forget to subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind for more exciting explorations of prehistoric times. Remember, every like and share helps us bring these fascinating stories from our past to more people. Join our growing community of history enthusiasts, and let's continue uncovering the amazing stories that shaped our world together. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next adventure through time.